So Google's really done it this time. They disabled HTML only on their mail, and I can't use it anymore. So it's really only for like one of three reasons that I could think of. The first reason is just so that they can force more advertisements. The second reason would be so that they can run scripts on your computer in order to try and mine more data about you, about your behavior maybe. They already have all the emails, all of that, but maybe it's an attempt to get even more. But the third reason is the worst of all, is how it does this auto completion when you're typing something. I think that's they're trying to use AI to actually write people's emails for them, or change what they would have written. And I really don't like that. So if I try to open my email, if I'm lucky, it'll load in about 5 minutes. But a lot of times I just get this temporary error, and it really just means that my connection isn't fast enough. And you might say, why don't you just use IMAP? Well, you can't use IMAP unless you do two-factor authentication. Okay, so there's only 3 methods for two-factor authentication that they support. The first is with a phone number, and I don't want to give Google a phone number, first of all, because then that's just going to allow them to track my exact location and know even more information that I don't want. But even if I did, I have to change the phone number every 3 months anyway because of that problem. And then what if I get locked out because I don't have the old phone number? Or what if I can't access it anymore because my phone number is not tied to my identity in any way? So that could be problematic, and I don't want to give them that. The second method is to buy a hardware key that you have to plug into your computer, which is totally stupid because my computer can do what that does. And GitHub supports OAuth, which does the exact same thing. And there's no reason for that. There's no reason for an extra device just to be able to log into your Google account when your computer could perfectly well do it if it just had a key or something as a file on the hard drive. But they don't let you do it that way. They want you to buy an extra device, consume more energy and pollution to produce it for no reason. And then the last method that they tell you to use is a browser plugin, but they don't support Linux. And that's really rude for Google to not support Linux in 2024. I mean, let's face it, they've done well with Android, and they never could have done that without Linux. And then they're going to turn around and just tell all the Linux people, no, you need to use a supported operating system that's not Linux. That's horrible. Google is horrible. They used to say they didn't want to do evil, but they took that away, so we know that they're evil. I posted on the support forum about this, and they don't care. They just think that everyone should have to have a high-speed internet connection, because I just can't even load their stupid standard view. I think that everyone should just make a different Google account every few months. That's the only way to anonymize your use of their services. That way, they can't really track you that well, and as long as they can't link your Google account to your identity, then it's fine, But as soon as they do, it's a big problem because they're using that data against you, and they're not even trying to hide it at all. So what we're left with is they want to consume as much of your processing power and internet bandwidth as they feel like, just for you to use a basic service of email that's been around for more than 50 years and specifically barely uses any data or processing power to support, but and they're forcing you, they're trying to force you to run whatever script they might decide to load. For them to be suggesting what you should say, even if you don't say it, it affects the experience. It affects what you're thinking when you're constantly bombarded with generated text that you don't, and the other thing is the standard view that they've forced everyone to adopt. It's a lot worse than the previous HTML only non-JavaScript view, because not only does it load all kinds of extra data and slow down your computer and network, but it has all this extra kind of bling and things all around the side suggesting you to do things. It would be like, what if they came along and made a new law and said, like, you can't use a bicycle anymore, it has to be an e-bike. It has to have an electric motor for safety in case you get injured. That way you can ride it back even if you can't pedal. What if they did something like that? You could still pedal it, but it has to be an electric motor on it, and it will be tracked, and you have to keep the battery charged so that if you go anywhere, that you can definitely get back without pedaling. That's sort of exactly what Google is doing with email, with their Gmail. So I think that for public information, feel free to use their servers, but as far as like, it's really unfortunate that they control YouTube, because I've been shadow banned from YouTube just because I disagree with what other people say in the comments. And so now my comments, they don't exist anymore. So I'm going to be migrating away from Gmail. It will take me some time because unfortunately I became entrenched, and I guess this is a good wake up for me to get untangled from Google as much as I can into the future. I also noticed that their search results just aren't what they used to be. Back in the day, Google would give you a lot more results, and they wouldn't be as targeted towards mainstream ideas the way they are now. Now it's hard to find things. So yeah, you have to go to like AI chatbots to get information now. That used to be, you could just search for it on Google and you'd find it, maybe not on the first page, but a few pages in you could get. Now it just seems more and more like it's gotten a lot worse in the last few years. I don't understand. It's all part of their scheme, their plan to control information.